So we're going to continue reviewing solving equations for one variable. And in these two examples, we're going to go over when you have parentheses and we have variables on both sides. So first thing you have to do, rule number one, is you really need to figure out what's going on inside the parentheses. We have x plus 4. You cannot add these two terms. X and 4 are not like terms, so you just need to leave them alone. And you need to seriously consider that you're going to have to distribute these. But let's take a look at the landscape. Minus 6, can't add it to anything here, and equals 9x all alone. So what I'm going to do is, because I need to free up that x there, I have to break apart the parentheses, which requires me to use the distributive property. I'm going to multiply 3 times x, and I'm going to get 3x. Okay? And then plus 3 times 4, and I get 12. Minus 6 equals 9x. All right? Now we're going to continue from here. What are my like terms? I have a 3x here, and I don't have another x on this side of the equation, so I'm going to leave it alone for now. Then I'm going to look at 12. Do I have a number I could add or subtract it to this? And yes, it's minus 6. So 12 minus 6 is 6. 3x plus 6 equals 9x. Now we're at a very simple two-step equation. We need to get the x's on one side. I have a 3x and I have a 9x. Now, a lot of people are used to the variable being on the left side of the equation or inequality. But that's not really that necessary. What I recommend anyway you do is, let's try to stay away from negatives because they're really easy to forget to write, not use at all. It's just another thing to worry about. It's a detail that can be easily, it's an easy way to make a mistake. So I highly recommend that you move the smaller term, as in the coefficient, with a smaller number. So 3x and 9x, 3 is smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3x. Let me do this in red. Minus 3x on both sides. Now, some people like to think of it as when I change over the equal sign, it changes from whatever sign it is, 3x, it would be negative 3x, if that helps you. But the point is, we are using subtraction property of equality to move or to transfer that over to the other side. This is 0 plus 6 equals 6x. 0 plus 6 is 6, equal to 6x. Now, remember, when we're trying to solve for the x, when we kind of clean things up here, and we have x, a coefficient plus or minus to a number, we always, first we have to get the two x's together, and once we do that, right, is there anything that's plus or minus to the x here? And there wasn't, so we just wrote it down. Here, 0 plus 6 is 6. Now my last step, because there's nothing that's plus or minus to the x, is 6 times x. To break that apart, you have to do the opposite operation, which is division. Division property of equality. What you do to one side, you do to the other. And 6 divided by 6 is 1 times x equals 1. 1 times x, the multiplication identity, x equals 1. Now we can check this, right? Let's check it. So I'm going to write right over here. Let's check. Okay. 3. I'm going to use 1 where I see an x. 1 plus 4 minus 6 equals 9 times 1. Everywhere I saw an x, I replaced it with 1. Inside the parentheses, 3 times 5 minus 6 equals 9. Whenever you're trying to figure out something, you have to use order of operations. When you're replacing a variable with a number, we figure out what's in the parentheses. Then we check, do we have anything with powers? No. Now we're going to multiply and divide. 3 times 5, 15. There's nothing else to multiply, so I copy everything. Now, is 15 take away 6 equal to 9? You bet. And therefore, x equal to 1 is our answer. And we've checked it, so we know for sure. That is a variable on both sides, and it happens to have parentheses. And now we're going to try a different example. Ooh, this is a longer one. Let's see. Okay. Well, there's different ways to approach it. We'll start with, this is variables on both sides. We're going to try and clean it up, and we're going to first zero in on parentheses. Let's take a look at our parentheses here. 2x plus 4. Now, 2x plus 4, are they like terms? This has an x and this does not. They are not like terms. We can't do anything here. So because that x is in there and there's nothing we can do, we are going to use the distributive property. Even though this is working in the back, that's okay. Not a problem. We're going to grab that parentheses and we're going to figure out what we need to do with it. Okay? And I'm going to do this part in red. 2 times 2, 4, and we have an x. 2 times 4 plus 2 times 4, we use this plus in here, 8. All right, I'll give you a moment to see that. Now, let's take a look at the other side of the equal sign. There are no parentheses, so I'm going to see if I have any like terms. I have an x here. Do I have another x? Yes. Do they have the same powers? Neither one has a power, so that's good. That means it's x to the 1 and x to the 1. These are like terms. I'm going to put them next to each other. Now, what's the other thing that we have here? Well, we have 3 and negative 1. Are they like terms? Well, they're both numbers, so yeah. Plus 3 minus 1. Now, I wrote it in a different color so you can really distinguish the difference between the two. Now, the rest I'm going to do in black. So, we can write this out, and preparing for factoring, which we'll review as well in this course, x 7 plus 3. They both share an x. You do reverse distributive. You pull out the x and you just put together in the parentheses the two coefficients. Or you can look at it as, oh, I have 7 x's and I'm adding 3 more x's. That means I have 10 x's. All right? Now, plus 3, like I was saying in previous videos, I like to think of adding and subtracting integers as I have money, I have $3 and I owe $1. Well, if I have $3 and I pay my debt, the dollar, that means I'm going to have $2 plus 4x plus 8. Now we have an x on one side and an x on the other, and a number and a number. We need to put our x's on the same side. We are going to follow look at the smaller coefficient, 10 or 4. 4 is smaller. I am going to subtract. This is positive 4, so negative 4x minus 4x. Negative 4x minus negative 4x, is 0, plus 8. 10x minus 4x, positive 6x plus 2. Let's keep going with this. 0 plus 8 is 8, and 6x plus 2. We're almost done. Next step, I want to get that x alone. I don't get the coefficient of that x first. I move the number that's added or subtracted to it. So I'm going to subtract 2 on this side or this side. Now, some people don't like to write this here. They just go ahead and change the sign and put it over here. You'll get the same result. That's fine. As long as you understand this is using subtraction property of equality. 6. 0 plus 6x, which we break down to 6x equals 6. Final step. See, this whole big thing looked like something awful, and it really isn't. And we're going to take 6 times x, the opposite, divide by 6, divide by 6. X equals 1 times x is 1. X equals 1. Seems like we're getting a lot of ones. Anyway, now let's check to see if we got it right. Let's see if we do this in a different color so it stands out. I'm going to try purple. How about purple? Okay, purple. We are going to change everything here. Okay? We're going to substitute where I see an x with 1. 7 times 1 plus 3 times 1 minus 1 equals 2 times 1, I'm losing it, plus 4. I hope you can see that. 7 times 1, 7, plus 3. 3 times 1, 3, minus 1, equals. The equals is not exactly underneath, but that's because I ran out of space. 2 times 1, 2, plus 4. Okay, now that's a little better. So let's get rid of this part here. 2 plus 4 is 6. That is 2 times 6. Okay, 2 plus 4, that gives me the 6. 2 times 4, 2 times 6 is 12. And I have 7 plus 3 plus 3 minus 1. So hopefully this whole thing gives me 12. Does it? 7 plus 3 is 10. Plus 3 is 13. Minus 1 is 12. And yep, that's our answer. Okay? So I'm sorry if this was a little bit hard to see. Let me move it a little bit over. This would be 2 times 1, the 1 being what we said we found for x, plus 4. 2 plus 4 inside the parentheses, which is 6. 2 times 6, 12. And here 1 and 1 where we had the x's. 7 plus 3 plus 3. Okay? Now let's do one more of these. This is the monster. Not really, but anyway, this is a lot bigger. This has a lot more distributive. Let's take a look at what we're going to do here. Okay, let's look inside our parentheses. I can put these two together. Let's see. Let's fix that. That makes life a little easier. 3, 5x plus 4. Let me move this over just a little bit. So these are like terms, right? So I'm going to put them together. Minus 20 plus 2, 4x plus 6, that's not like terms. Equals. Those two are not like terms. This has an x, that doesn't have an x. But we have to start multiplying things. 3 times 5, 15, we have an x. 3 times 4, 12, and we're adding them in here, so 12. Minus 20. 2 times 4, x, 8x. 2 times 6, now there's a plus there, 2 times 6, 12, equals 3x minus 16. Now we have to see which ones are the like terms. Let's take a look. X's, I have an x here. Do I have another x? No, yep. What's 15x plus 8x? Well, let's see. I believe that that's 23 x's. Make sense? Yeah, makes sense. Now let's do with a different color. Let's try purple. Let's see if we have any. 12 minus 20. I have $12. I owe 20. If I use all my money, I still owe $8. Do I have another number that I can add it to? Yeah. If I owe $8 from these two, and I have 12, well, I can use that 12 now, right? And if I owed 8 and I still have 12, well, that means that I have, if I pay my debt, I have $4 left over. Okay? Equals 3x minus 16. Cool. No like terms, no like terms. Now we're going to have to move things over, and this is where we get into two-step. Look at your x. 23x, 3x. This has a smaller coefficient. This is the one I choose to move over here. And it has the added benefit that it's going to the left side, which usually we're used to seeing the variable on the left side. Positive 3x minus 3x minus 3x. And I get 20x plus 4 equals 0 minus 16. 0 minus 16 is just negative 16. 20x plus 4. Now, I still have the x. I have to move whatever's plus or minus to the x. Minus 4, minus 4. 20x plus 0 is negative 20. The 0 drops. Addition identity. 20x equals negative 20. And now it's 20 times x, so I have to divide by 20. Both sides. What I do to one side, I do to the other, like I do here. This gives me 20 divided by 20 is 1x equals 20 divided by 20, and the top one is negative 1. Okay, 1 times x, as in the multiplication identity, is just x equals -1. Now we can check it. Okay, we can definitely check it. Let's see if we can do this correctly. I'm going to do this one in black. Okay, and try to look for the most space. All right, so here goes. 3. Okay, 5 times -1. It's going to be fun because there's a negative. Plus 3 plus 1. -20. Oops. Plus. My bad. Plus. 2 times 4 times -1 plus 6. Oh, this is going to be fun. And now we'll wait to do the other side in a minute. Let's figure this part out. And on the other side here, we'll do the other side because I ran out of space. But this is, okay, 3. Let's look inside here. We have a 3 and a 1, which is 4. And we have 5 times -1, -5 plus 4. In here, -20. Right? And this is inside the parentheses, by the way. -20 plus 2, -4 plus 6. -4 plus 6 is 2. Okay, this is -5 plus 4. They had an extra number here. That's why we had that. Okay, so let's fix this up. -5 plus 4, I owe $5. I have 4 to pay. I still owe $1. -20 plus 2 times 4, right, is 4. 3 times -1, -3, -20 plus 4. Okay, one side of this equation, the long side, will give us -23 plus 4, which is -19. So on this side, I should also get -19. Let's try it. I'm going to do this side. Okay, so I'm going to put like a big equal sign here, and I'm going to do this side. Using -1. 3 times -1 minus 16. Okay? -3 minus 16, -19. And hey, look, on both sides of the equation, I got -19. That means that my answer is correct. And that's the way you do these. So remember, you have to break apart the parentheses. You have to gather the like terms together, right? We added those two together, and we added all the numbers together. We simplified it and got it so that it was just a number, 20x equals -20, and then we divided by 20 on both sides, getting the answer of x equals -1, and then we substituted it into each side. I hope that makes things a little easier for you, and remember, just take your time when you do these problems, and good luck.